Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing my out-of-box review for the HG Iron-Blooded Orphans Gundam Kimaris Trooper. Just want to start off by saying a big thank you, as always, to MindFenix Hobby Store for sending me this kit to share with you guys. If you are living in Australia, please do check out their site and support them. As you guys know, they support me quite a bit, so I really appreciate it, and I'm sure they would too. So let's get into the review of this kit. I gotta say, it is a really nice kit, very, very interesting, very unique kit, as we've seen with a lot of the Iron-Blooded Orphans kits so far. It's definitely an interesting take on the Kimaris. It's quite different from the original Kimaris. I'll show you those, both of those together here in just a few moments. For the most part, in terms of just the overall colors and articulation and all of that, is going to be very similar to the original Kimaris. All the colors are pretty much exactly the same actually, but of course the only parts of the kit that are the same are going to be some parts of the inner frame. Pretty much everything else is all new though. So really nice kit in terms of just the proportions and details. I think that's another thing about the HG Iron-Blooded Orphans line so far. All the kits have had really, really nice details. There are some seam lines on this kit, but really not too many. It's pretty minimal. That again has been pretty usual for most of the HGIBO kits so far. There's always been like a few seam lines, but not too bad. Certainly not like some older high-grade kits. So really cool weapons again for this one as well. We have the same kind of long lance like we had with the original, but of course it's a little bit different now. The sword, instead of a combat knife, is just a fixed blade sword. It's kind of also very interesting. We'll take a look at all the accessories again here in a moment. But overall, really nice kit, really fun to build. I really quite like it in this form, but it does also have that kind of hover mode as well. I found it kind of interesting as I was getting ready to start filming this video. I was thinking, in the story, I don't think they ever really explained or mentioned anything about this like changing its form, being so redesigned. I think we were basically just kind of left to figure out like, oh, okay, it's they kind of redesigned it for combat on Earth by having that hover mode and just sort of changing the proportions and stuff. I don't think that was ever really touched upon at all in the series, which is a little bit odd. I think we were kind of basically just left on our own to figure that out, sort of, which is not too bad. I mean, I don't think when it comes to storytelling in TV series or movies or whatever, I really don't think that the audience needs to be spoon-fed everything. But on the other hand, just for fans of the series, we want to know about like the Gundams, right? The machines, and so I think having some more information about that, I think at least dropped into the story would have been good. But then again, too much exposition like that is might not have been that great. That's one of the biggest complaints about the series actually, is that there's too much talking and not enough action. It's fine for me, but that has been a common complaint about the series. So, I don't know. I digress. Let's get into talking about some of the articulation. I'll bring this guy in to give you a closer look so far. Just starting off with the head. Very interesting head design here. With this, we have a sticker in there for the eyes, and this faceplate is looking much more like some sort of like gas mask or something on there, with how it covers like the kind of nose. How we have like the bridge of a nose there. Lots of details on there, of course. Pretty good in terms of the seam lines. It doesn't have any seam on the side of the head, which is nice. The only seam is going to be here on the back of the head, just a really small one there, but I think you'd probably get away with probably not doing anything about that. The V-fin and this top part did have safety flags, this top point there, and then each side of the V-fin did have safety flags. I cut those off and sanded those down. This V-fin is coming off on me here a little bit, but I'll try to sort that out. There we go. Anyway, the head is able to go up nice and high there, down pretty far down, really far down there like that. So really nice movement there in the head. The waist section is going to be similar to all the other Gundam kits we've seen in the line so far. It has 2 points of articulation, a ball joint down at where it connects into the base, and then a hinge up at the top to give you a little bit of movement. Not too much, but it's pretty good, pretty decent. Here on the backpack, I'm noticing this part now fell off. These parts kind of seem like they should be articulated, like moving, these thrusters on the backpack, but they're really not. They're just kind of just set in there. But those are like that. The front skirts are connected, but you can clip those apart to make them separate to move on their own. The side skirts are these sub-arms, which are used to support the lance. So we'll take a look at that. Those just kind of fold out like so. I need to attach this back on here. They're just attached via ball joint. So those are going to be out like that. Again, we'll take a closer look at that when we look at the weapons, how to mount that up. The back skirt, again, is able to move up like so. Sorry guys, the focus is not very good there. Up and down. 1, 2, 3 stickers on there. I'm not a big fan of this hook thing at the back. It's kind of stupid. Like this whole part here looks kind of dumb. I don't know what that's all about. It's kind of dumb. Really don't get it, but really nice detail up here, up underneath that part. So that's pretty cool. In the legs are going to be very standard, rotating at the top. Double joint in the knee is going to give you a pretty nice bend there, but you're going to be running into the back skirt. There we go. It's about as far as we're going to be able to bend the knee like so. This knee part is able to move up and down. That's because we are able to separate the legs out. I'll show you that here in just a moment as well. And then the ankles are going to have a lot of movement, very similar to the Gundam Barbatos, but then we do also have even more articulation here in the toes, as we're able to rotate this front part and move that basically all around in every which direction. Pretty cool details with the thruster up underneath the side. We have all this detail here in the back again, like the Barbatos. And all of that, some detail up underneath the feet. They're kind of like half detailed, half empty there, so not too bad. Overall, the Gundam itself, really, really nice. Oh, I guess I kind of skipped over the arms. But again, very standard, rotating at the top. Gonna go up only about that high before this shoulder armor is getting in the way. Let's see if we can move that out of the way a little bit. There we go. We can move that all the way up. And then just bend in the elbow to give you more than 90 degrees, but not too much more. This side has a hole mount there. The other side does not. That's for the shield. And the wrist is just on a ball joint. Here you can see in the back of the arm we have this kind of part that's supposed to look like a piston. When the arm is extended, it looks really cool detail, but then when you bring it out, it kind of is obvious that it's not really too functional there. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the accessories. So the first thing is the shield. Very plain, really, to be honest. It does have a purple sticker there at the top. It's just 2 pieces here. This is for mounting onto the forearm, and then this handle will drop into the hand. Yeah, nothing really too special here. It does have quite a lot of nice detail on the inside, whereas a lot of shields is just kind of empty on the inside. This is actually full of detail on the inside of there, so that's good. We're just going to drop this into the hand, pop that onto the forearm, and there you go, it's attached nice and easy. And then we have our new sword, just very simple, just one piece, kind of flat, rectangular sword here. So really interesting design. I really quite like it. With the regular Kimaris, I said I really like the combat knife with that kit. With this one, I really do quite like this sword as well. It's very, very unique. And then we have an extra hand for holding the lance. It's not just a thumbs up hand, which it could be. This is for holding the lance. It's no mistake that the back of the hand is missing. I didn't lose that part. It's just that we don't have an extra part. So if you want to use this hand, you have to take the back of the hand off of this one and just switch it onto this hand. It's really not a big deal because, you know, you only need 2 backs of the hand at one time. Of course, you're not going to need them. But it just seems really lazy. Why at Bandai didn't just throw an extra back of the hand on there just to have 3 complete hands? So instead of having to part swap that part, I don't know, in case you wanted to actually have that back of the hand glued to one of the hands or something, you can't do that. You'd have to switch it. Not really too big of a deal, really, and I feel almost kind of silly complaining about something like that, but it is kind of weird that they didn't give us one more back of the hand. When I was constructing the kit and I got to that part, I'm like, okay, where's this piece? I'm checking the manual, and it's like, oh wait, there's no extra back of the hand for that. So this is for holding the big long lance here, and as you can see, this has a peg there, male peg just there on one side. That's for going into the back of the hand. So this part doesn't have any peg. I mean, it just has the connection point for the back armor part of the hand, and that's where that is going to plug into. So here is our very long new lance. Again, this also has a dull tip on it instead of the original one, which was totally pointed. This one now has the dull tip, but also has this kind of extra thrusters added here forward and on the sides here. Big kind of almost flat part for like the bottom kind of underside of that. Nice long straight handle there, which will just slide into the hand nice and easy, except for when you want to put it actually on that peg. It is going to have a big seam line going all the way across that, but that shouldn't be too much of a surprise for an HG. Just to give you an idea of the length of the lance, here it is stood next to the Gundam, towering over it. It's very, very long, so that is pretty cool. Imagine if we had this kit in 1/100 scale, that would be quite an impressive piece there. So speaking of comparing, let's go ahead and compare this to the original. So here they are, the Kimaris and Kimaris Trooper. You can see the Trooper is going to stand a little bit taller just because of that spike on the head, but ultimately the size is, you know, pretty much equal. Of course, the original Kimaris is much more bulky in the shoulders and the lower legs, but the Kimaris Trooper has that huge back skirt on it. So, you know, proportionally they're going to be different, but I think like total kind of proportions is going to be really quite similar. There is definitely quite a lot different though. It is definitely quite a different look for them. It would be tough to choose which one I like more. I think for standing on the ground, I like the original Kimaris, and the Kimaris Trooper, I like it quite a bit more when it's up on an action base. Which reminds me, I did forget to mention, the other accessory we have with this kit is of course this clear base. There's a nice addition that we didn't get with the original, but we do have it with this kit, so that's nice. I'll show that to you in use here in a moment. Anyway, my point is, it's quite interesting that I like the land form posed in air, and I like the space form posed standing. That's interesting, I think. Anyway, but let's go ahead and talk about the transformation of this kit. So I should mention that I have not transformed this before. This is the first time I'm doing it. So just looking at the instructions, I can see the reason why these parts are just separate like that, why they're not connected onto there firmly, is because they're supposed to be able to move for the transformation. The first thing you need to do is take them off and refit them in this position like that. You can just kind of rotate them. Anyway, just so in the position so they're sticking straight out like that. The next step is lifting this up and pulling that out like so. And the next thing is folding this foot, folding the foot down, and then bringing the leg forward, bringing the leg back so the thigh is pointed forward, then bringing this front part of the shin forward, the knee up, front part of the shin forward, and then folding out this part here. There we go. And pointing that down like so. And there's the transformed leg. So then to help us hold up the lance, we're going to fold this part out and then just rotate this part at the top. Connect, maybe we should feed this part through there first, I think will be easier. Like this, then connect the hand, and then that will be nice and secure on there. So that back piece, the subarm for supporting the lance, I gotta say, does seem to be really quite useful, I think, so that'll be good. Should also mention that when not in use, the sword can be stored here in the shield, just slides down into there, and then it fits really nicely inside the shield there, so that is actually a really cool feature. So while I have to admit that this hover mode, or I believe a trooper mode, I believe is what it's supposed to be called actually, trooper form kind of, I'll have to admit it is very interesting, and I think it's engineered very well. I think the way the legs open up, and I think the way those kind of transform, although if you look at it closely, it really just looks like the Gundam just kind of kneeling and flying. But I think that's pretty cool. Really, really impressed with the way that the subarm, how simple that is, but it seems to work really effectively. I think the angles of how they've designed that has worked really well. So just overall, I gotta say, really impressed with this form. Although it's not really personally to my taste, I really quite like how the Gundam is in just its regular Gundam form, with just the legs kind of in their normal state. But I do have to say this, I am liking this form more than I originally thought that I would. Basically the biggest thing for me that I think is really quite strange is these bits here on the front. they just look really kind of weird. Like they don't really look, I mean, they should be like pretty powerful kind of thrusters, enough to kind of help support the front weight of the Gundam when it's flying like this, but they just really don't look like that. They look like just these cans just kind of attached onto the front of the knees and kind of weird, not really all that, and they're just like attached onto these mechanical arms with no actual like mechanics or anything in there that you'd think they would need like a bunch more kind of involved in there. I don't know, it just doesn't really look all that realistic to me, I guess. So as far as giant robots goes, giant robots go, they don't really need to always look the most realistic, but that's just one little bit that just kind of throws me off personally. Now with the legs switched back to their regular Gundam form, this is really how I prefer it. I tried to see if it can hold the lance upright without the assistance of the subarm, and it really just can't. The wrist is just not strong enough to be able to support that. I'm sure in some different ways, or if you just had it holding the lance with the lance pointed down, it would look perfectly fine. But if you wanted to have the lance pointed up in any way, or any sort of like action pose, you're really not going to be able to do that without the assistance of the subarm. Luckily, the subarm is articulated enough, I think, if it rotated there where the kind of white part connects to the bluish gray part, kind of the two different, where those two colored parts of the subarm meet, if it had some rotation there, I think that would help just give it a little bit more range of movement, but unfortunately it is a little bit limited. Not really going to be too much of a big deal. There is still plenty of different kind of poses that you can do with this kit without that being more articulated. Anyway, so it is really, really cool still that just you have that, and that it does work as well as it does. And for anyone who may have been wondering if you can use the booster set from the HG option set 4 on this kit, yes, you absolutely can. All you need to do is remove the backpack part from the Kimaris Trooper. Same with the regular Kimaris, just remove the backpack and attach on the booster unit and you're good to go. I gotta say, it does really look quite good with this. Of course, you are going to have, you do have to manage the parts a little bit with a huge backskirt of the Kimaris Trooper. But luckily, the lower part of the booster unit are able to move up a little bit to get those out of the way, so you can manage everything without having too much stuff crashing into each other there in the back. But again, you're able to get some really cool poses with this kit, of course using that. And here we can see using that flat sword there as well. All looking really, really good, I have to say. I definitely really like the look of this kit when it's up on action base. So that's just about going to do it for my out-of-box review of the HG Kimaris Trooper. Really, really do like the kit. Great articulation, great details, really, really cool look to it, and especially with the ability to do that transformation. Really cool weapon options. Everything just makes it a really nice kit. Very few stickers. There are a few stickers, though, that I will point out now that I realize I forgot to point out. On the forearms, there is a small little color app there in light blue. That's a sticker on both forearms. And then up in the crotch there's a sticker up in that part too, in like a light blue and black. So a couple more stickers there, but really pretty easy color apps to paint in. Pretty much all of the stickers on this kit would be very easy color apps to paint if you guys want to just go in and just hand paint in those details, or mask and paint them however you want to do it. But I think even just hand painting those in would be really, really super simple to do. So that's just about going to do it for my review of this kit. Thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, if you do have any other questions or comments, leave those down below. Highly recommended. If you had to choose between the two, this one or the regular Kimaris, I'd have to say just go for whichever one you like the most, because both of them I think are probably equally good. The regular Kimaris, I will say, is going to have a lot more seam lines, so if you don't have the experience with working with seam lines, I think maybe this kit will be better for you. But you know, if you are looking for the experience, or if you don't mind the seam lines and you prefer the look of the regular Kimaris, then just go for that one instead. Or possibly the 1/100 scale, I don't know, I haven't built the 1/100 scale yet. It's on my to-do list, so that review will be coming up pretty soon. If we're going to see a 1/100 scale Kimaris Trooper, I think that'd be cool, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I think it's possible, because it did serve a pretty big role in the last few episodes of the series, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.